Hi guys, this is Sai Kumar Kortiwada. In this video, we will learn about CSS grid system. So I have explained completely about Flexbox and how exactly Flexbox works in CSS in my previous video. Please watch that for better understanding. And grid system is from past like CSS2, CSS3 we have, and Flexbox will work out only from CSS3. So that is the main difference because the Flexbox is the latest one, and how this grid system works and how exactly we can check this, we'll see with some set of examples as well. So let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code. Before that, let's go into one more slide to understand what are the things which we cover in this video. So here in grid system, we'll cover display property, justify content, and grid template column, and then grid gaps and grid columns, justify align, justify self, and align self, justify items, and align items. So all these concepts we will try to cover in this particular video with a proper example. First, we'll try to understand grid system. So now how the grid system works is you can lay out your whole application in the manner however you want. For example, it is not required to have a sequential set of data, and even you can make your complete system in any manner however you want to lay out. For example, there are different types of layouts. If you see the LinkedIn has different layout, and if you go to the profile, it has some set of layout. You can see the LinkedIn over here. So this is my profile page where I'm able to see all the details, like you have a header, you have a side navigation, and in that side navigation we have one set of content over this section and one set of content over this section, and similar profiles we have over here, and even we are able to see all the details over here. Okay, so that is how we will be using this LinkedIn, and this way we can segregate our whole application. If I go to home and if I just see the home page, you can see on the left side there is complete profile page and all the groups and the recent conversation, whatever I have, all that were visible on the left side navigation bar. On the right side, again, there are two types of grid systems, and in the center you have the content, on the top you have a header. So that means we are layouting this particular pages in different manner, and that is how you can use your grid system. So for understanding the grid system, let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code and go with small set of examples. So now what I try to do is I'll try to create a container. Even in the Flexbox, we create a container. Even in grid system, we'll try to create a container. So let me create a container, and this container, let me use something like class. You can use grid container or something like container. So let me go into the index.css, create this class, and inside this, whatever the sibling elements we have, that are called as grid items. So let me go with one div, and let me go with another div, and let me go with another div. So this is my three divs I have created, and let me create four divs, for example. Now let me save this. So this is my first div and second div, third div, fourth div, and these are called as grid items. So let me make this as items. So let me use as item, and let me copy the class and put it over here. This is also an item, this is also an item, this is also an item. Okay, so now let me go into our CSS and create an item class, and this is something like grid item. So now what I want to do is I want to give some set of colors for my container, like background color and some height and width if we want. So background color, as let me go with a black color of my background and save this, and let me go with width of 100%. That means whole width I want to take, and this is my container. So let me go and see how it is looking like. Let me go here and refresh. Nothing is visible. Why? Because let's see what we can add on these items. So items are not completely visible. So let me add some set of width for each item, and width is 200 pixel. Let me consider and go here and refresh. Let me go to the content and let me add a min height of 100 pixel and save this. Now you can see some content, and here there are some items, different items. For each item there is a minimum height of 100 pixel. So what I'll do is I'll try to showcase them with some gray color. Let me consider it as a gray color. So background color as gray and save this. Now go here, refresh. Now you are able to see one particular div, and let me add some set of border for this. Border 1 pixel solid green color, or let me add something like red, just to visualize this particular divisions. So now you can see there is a box over here, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and this is my background. So what I'll do is I'll make my background complete height. So view 100 view height and save this. Let me remove this h1 for now. Save this, go here, and you can see a black screen, and now we have 4 divisions over here. Now what I want to do is I'll just go here, okay, and we have a minimum height applied on this and a background and a border. So let me apply a display. Till now I didn't apply the grid system. Now I am applying display grid. Let me save this and go here. You can see it took complete section, that is nothing but the height. And now what I'll try to do is I'll try to divide this into 4 boxes. For example, 1 box, 2 box, 3 box and 4 box. So what I want to do is I want to add a minimum width. Instead of width, I'm not fixing the width now, I'm making it as minimum width. So now I want to divide that into 4 boxes. So whenever you want to divide that into 4 boxes, what I can do, first thing, I can add one more property called as template. That means grid template columns. I want to make columns, and let me add something like 1 fraction. So 1 fraction, in the sense it will divide all that template columns into 1 fractions, and how many columns you want. For example, if I want to move all this into columns, then how I can do that? 1 fr, 1 fr and 1 fr. Save this and one more fr. So now it will be in 4 columns. So it will be equally divided into 4 columns. Let me go here. You can see 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, 4 column. But that is not our agenda. Agenda is to create this particular template into 4 parts. That is 1 box over here, 1 box over here, 1 box over here, 1 box over here. That is 2 by 2. That is 2 rows and 2 columns. So if I want to create that, what I can do is I can give 2 rows. So 1 fr and 1 fr. So it will create 2 columns. So let me go here. It created 2 columns and 2 rows. Why it has created another 2 columns? Because I have divided this into 1 fr and 1 fr, but I got 4. So I am decided to create 2 columns, but the items are 4. What it does is once the first row has filled, the remaining items will be moved to the next row. So that is how this 1 fr will work. For example, I have one more item. So I have 5 items, not the even number of items. Then what happens is it created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the empty one. So this will not be considered as a grid item. So only these 5 are the grid items, and this is a remaining empty space. So now what we can do is we can play with this 5th one. Let me go here, and what I'll do is I have a container, and inside that container I'm picking a div where my div's nth child is 5. So I want to go with the 5th div. So that means the last div. If you see, if I apply something on this, it applies only for the last div. So let me apply with background color as yellow and save this. Now you can see a yellow color. Now what I want to do is I want to move it to center. So what we can do, it is very simple. Align or justify self center and save this. You can see it applied into the center of this particular division. We can apply only till this division because we are applying on the justify self. So it is taking only the minimum width of 200 pixel of width, because justify self is always a horizontal one. And now I want to give it as align self, and I want to apply center. So it will take the minimum height. So now it is 200 by 100 height. So now it is exactly center on that particular container. That means if you are not giving any of the center alignment or left alignment or any of the alignment, then what it does is it stretches in width wise and height wise. If you apply justify self, it applies the height completely occupying the space. If you apply the align self, it avoids the stretching of that particular container. So let me see here, and you can see that particular yellow box. And now I want to move it to right side. So what we can do is justify self align to right side. So let me go with right, save this, and you can see the last border it has reached. And then I'll move this to align self as flex, or let me go with a start or top, save this, and you can see completely took because top is not a property. So what I'll do is I'll just use start. So it starts vertically on the top. Let me see this. So it started at the top. When I give align self and justify self, you can use that property just to play with that particular division with exact dimensions. So we have given minimum height of 100 and width of 200. That's why it is playing only with this 100 and 200. If you remove this, it will not apply and it will take the minimum height and minimum width. So it is taking all the container space. Now what we will do is we'll try to move whole container into the center. That you can do by applying a justify items center. So you can apply the justify item center. You can see all are at center, and if you apply align items center, then all will be in the center. So you can see it is taking exactly the same dimensions, but when you give at a container level, it applies for all, and the properties are different, justify items and align items, because we are applying that alignments on the items, so it applies for all the items. Now let me remove this or comment this. Now what we'll do is there is no gap between the horizontal as well as vertical items, so we will create a gap. So if you give the gap as 10 pixel, it creates a gap horizontally and vertically. And if you don't want to have horizontal or vertical, then you can give only one. So column gap as 10 pixel and save this. Now you can see the gap between the columns, and if you want to apply separately the row gap, which is more, then you can go with 20 pixel and save this. Now 10 pixel is your column gap and 20 pixel is your row gap. So that's how you can create your column gap and row gap, and if both are same, then you can just use gap. So now that is about your column gap versus row gap. And also we can apply differently. For example, this is something like 2 by 2 and one more is extra, one more is a space. Now what I want to do is I want to apply this for entire div. That means whole space. The last item should be applied for whole space. In that case, this is my last item. So what I can do is I can apply something like column, that is grid column, and grid column I can span it. So now what is the default one is auto. So it will select only the space which is available. Now what I'll do is I'll have one column or first line of column. I want to extend it to second column, or you can go with two, span two in the sense I want to apply for next to two rows, sorry, next two columns. Let me go here and you can see it has applied for whole screen. How we can identify this? Let me go and inspect. What we'll do is let me increase this, and if you say the container, there is something called as grid. Let me click this grid. If you see the grid, one is the point which is starting, one is the point which is starting at a row and column. So this is the column, this is the row. So if you see row 1 2 and this is a 3, okay, and 1 2 3 and minus 3, that is the last one, and this is 4, this is minus 2 and minus 1. So now what we can do is I have applied span on two elements, that is starting at 1, and I am applying two columns. So that's why it is one span of 2, and in the same way you can apply for different stuff as well. Let me copy this and put it over here, and for first child I'm applying, and what I want to do is I want to apply the same thing for first span, that is two columns. Now save this. There is a hollow space here. Why? Because this is my first container, this is my second one, third one, fourth one, and fifth one is empty because fifth requires complete data, so it is taking the complete row. Why? Because we gave span of 2. So that is how you can change the span by using grid column. Even you can change the grid row as well. So if I apply something like grid, I'll apply on first one, grid row, and I want to start at 1 and I want to span for 2. So now it will be like vertical way. So if you see here, it occupied two spaces because I'm applying grid column 1 span 2 and row column 1 span 2. If I don't want to apply grid column, then it will take the row. So they took two rows because the span of two rows, and this is 1, this whole is 1, this is 2, this is 2, this is 3, this is 3, this is 4, and these both are 5. So just for our understanding, I'll make it as green and save this. Now you can see the green one is the one first box, and this is second, this is third, this is fourth, and this is a space, this is a fifth one. So like this you can play with grid system and you manage however you want, and you can create however you want. Okay, that is how we can create the grid template. And for example, if you want to change the grid template, actually speaking, here they are 1fr 1fr, so actually speaking both are same. You are giving the same fractions, so whenever we are giving the same fractions, you can repeat that two times with 1fr. Like this, we can give the repeat property also. Let me go here, it works the same way. So instead of giving the same fractions every time, you can give repeat as well if all the fractions are same. So that is how you can create your grid system, and you can apply this grid template columns. So that is how we can use our grid system in a simpler way. So that's it about your grid system. And in the upcoming video, I'll try to explain completely about grid system with an example where we saw in the LinkedIn. So this all layout we will be seeing in the next video. That's it for this video. Hope you like my explanation. If you like my video, like, share, subscribe to my channel for more updates. Signing off. Thank you.